Hello, citizens of YouTube land.
Hey.
It's your president and your VP back once again with another episode of March of the Leprechauns. This
We're doing
time,
3 episodes today, people.
It's Leprechaun 4 in space.
Oh, Dad, help me, please.
And hey, if you haven't become a citizen of YouTube land, all you have to do is hit that subscription button below. It's that simple, guys. So go ahead and do it if you haven't already.
And I'll be launching my first YouTube video today, starting a new series called My Journey into Pure Flicks. Help me, guys.
Yeah, that's going to be quite the journey. I believe so. President here will be popping in from time to time on those with special appearances, but this is going to be more of a standalone thing for him, so give him all the support and love that you give this channel, guys.
Okay, thank you.
So let's get down to it. Leprechaun 4 in Space is a science fiction comedy parody movie that came out in 1997. It's directed by the same director who directed Part 3, Brian Trenchard Smith. It stars...
And the same screenwriter of the third movie.
It stars the same... It stars Warwick Davis as the titular character, who's not really called a leprechaun in this at all. They never mention the fact that he's a leprechaun. So I'll just get that little rant right out of the way. It also stars Miguel A. Nunez Jr., who a lot of people are going to be familiar with his roles in movies such as Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, and he was in a Return of the Living Dead, and he was also in Slam Dunk Ernest. So the man's been in quite a few movies. He's very actually recognizable. The rest of the cast, I don't really know the names of, nor do I care. So let's get down to it. He is apparently, this time around, Warwick is apparently a space alien. And this movie borrows heavily from Alien, guys. He apparently has kidnapped a princess from the planet Dominia. And she is basically a very cheap version of Princess Leia from the Star Wars films. There are several references to both Alien and Star Wars in this movie. So,
sorry guys.
There's also Space Marines, who Miguel A. Nunez Jr. is a part of. And they're essentially the same freaking... they're supposed to be basically the same colonial marine unit that is in Alien, essentially. And so they attempt to hunt the...
Actually, it would more like be along the lines of Aliens than Alien.
Yeah, well, that could be too.
Because in Alien, they're actually a scientific research team.
Yeah, so it is...
In Aliens, they're a colonial marine team.
So it is more along the lines of the sequel, which I guess makes sense since this is a sequel in the loosest terms possible. So they go to hunt the...
When we say sequel, it really isn't a sequel, guys. Like like Leprechaun 3 got everything right that a Leprechaun movie should be, which basically it took the aspects of the first movie, expanded upon those, but then added new elements that made it a timeless classic.
So they go to hunt the alien down, and it's actually an alien bug that they shoot, which frightens the little creep, because he's quite frankly just a little creep in this one. There's no rhyming, there's no real comedic elements, other than a few quips that he does here and there. And I'm not saying that Warwick doesn't give it his all, because he always does in these things, and that's the one thing that can really be appreciated about it. But, so then, he gets into a gunfight, basically, with the colonial marines, and they throw a grenade, and then the princess comes out, and he sacrifices himself, and he gets blown up, And then one of the Space Marines then decides to piss all over the foot. And as a result, the Leprechaun, aka the alien, is able to basically go up the urinary tract into this guy. And is basically just kind of dwelling inside of him. Sort of like a chest burster, because that's where they're going with it a little bit later. So then they cut to a scene where they are congratulating each other on a job well done. And the movie, I guess, is supposed to be somewhere in the late 21st century, maybe early 22nd century. But they do mention a line where it's the 21st century.
Mind you, if they were really trying to go for more of an Alien parody, Alien takes place in the year 2270, I do believe. So...
Well, but who knew that disco balls were going to be the future? Apparently this movie did. Because we get a disco scene with absolutely horrible acting and dancing in it. And then we're introduced basically to, well, I should say that we had already been introduced to a character named Tina, who ends up being one of the protagonists in the movie, along with a muscle-bound meathead named Brooks. So, Debbie Dunning of Home Improvement fame is one of the Space Colonial Marines, and she starts macking on the guy who pissed all over the carcass. And they decide they're going to go have some one-on-one time with each other. So then she basically is going to attempt to giving, how shall I say this, a happy ending.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And as a result of it, it actually causes the space alien to burst from the pelvic region in a scene similar to a chest burster.
By the way, hold on. I should mention before we do this, I should mention that Spaceballs did a scene similar to this one, but they did it correctly because after the chestburster came out of him, the chestburster then did a song and dance number because the actor who actually played the person who got chestbursted, he's like, oh no, not again. So, like I said, Spaceballs did the parody correctly, Leprechaun 4 did not. Go ahead, Dad.
So then Debbie Dunning's character runs off and tells them that it's alive. So
and another...
Then we're introduced...
No, Dad, hold on. When she says it's live, they kind of like freeze frame on her face, similar to the scream in Leprechaun 2.
Yeah,
where
it's just
she's
kind
like,
of a...
where's...
So, but you guys are kind of used to our cringy brand of comedy here. And we have to poke at this one hardcore, guys, because it deserves it. More than any other movie that I've seen in quite some time.
Except for maybe Origins.
Well, we'll get to that one eventually. Stop that.
Water.
Yeah, the liquid of life, of course. So then, thanks. So then, they find out that it's still alive, so they go to hunt it down. But then they get orders from Dr. Mittenhand, who is a Nazi space doctor. Yeah, that's a thing, apparently. And he orders them to kill the alien and is offering them a bonus in the process. And so they go off to try to kill him, but then one by one they each die in pretty ridiculous ways. Debbie Dunning is eventually basically like thrown over a ledge, and then the Leprechaun plays the Little Piggy song with her as she falls to her death. And then there's another scene where the Brooks, or however you say his name, him and this other character named Mooch are going to go looking in a waste disposal chamber for the alien.
Which has a super flesh-eating bacteria, which, as you already guys know, if you've watched Cabin Fever, then you would know the name of this super flesh-eating bacteria.
So the Leprechaun, aka the space alien, is in there, and he slices the suit, and it causes pretty much instantaneous death. As we see a skeleton, that's all that's remaining when Brooks is able to drag the carcass out of the waste disposal chamber. Now, I should also point out that the fake Princess Leia has agreed to go with the Leprechaun because apparently her dad was a good king and just kind of gave his wealth to his own people. And of course, she doesn't really like that. And she's pretty greedy and evil in her own right. Unfortunately, as the movie comes to an end, I'm kind of yada-yaing over several bits of this because I don't need to go into the complete details of this one. But towards the end, she actually gets a happy ending after she's knocked out. But I should point out that Dr. Mittenhand, the space Nazi doctor, there's one scene where he attempts to extract the DNA of the Dominion princess, the fake Princess Leia. And so the Leprechaun then mixes said DNA with a spider and a scorpion. And then he injects it into Mittenhand's skull. And this results in this freaky looking spider scorpion human hybrid. Now, the practical effects
spider
are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty good, especially for the budget that they had. The CGI, on the other hand, is as
pretty
horrendous as you're going to get with a mid-90s CGI. You get what I'm saying, guys? I mean, we're talking mid-90s CGI. So, not great at all. Now, I explained that that the Leprechaun had leapt on a grenade at the beginning. They used the exact same stock footage at the end to show him blowing up in space, where he like warps into this balloon-looking thing, and he explodes. And then he gives a middle finger to them as they're able to keep it from self-destructing. So the only ones who survive are Books, Tina, and Miguel A. Nunez's character. And all the rest of them are killed. Well, and the fake Princess Leia, she also survives.
Yeah.
So what kind of a rating do I give this one? Well, I give it a 1 1/4. And the reason being is that for Miguel A. Nunez Jr. and Warwick Davis, and the fact that the practical effects are pretty decent for a movie with this kind of budget. What say you?
I give it a 1 star. Just a solid 1 star.
So it's a 1 1/8 star out of 5 for us guys. That's the total combined rating. It is by far probably the second worst film of the franchise. We're going to get to the worst tomorrow. And our opinions. Leprechaun Origins. We'll get to that one tomorrow for you guys. Because one of our subscribers and one of my good friends, he even asked us, you're going to even do Leprechaun Origins? And yes, we're going to do it. So there's that. Now, of course, and I know I do this for all of these, and he used to stop me from doing these, but of course, if you think that Leprechaun 4 in space is Oscar-worthy material and should have won 10 Academy Awards, well,
you're wrong!
And you're crazy. But, hey.
I don't know what kind of stuff you're smoking, but
stop.
You're wrong.
No. But hey, just remember, we're just two idiots with a cell phone camera. Our opinions do not matter, except they actually do, because we have a YouTube show, except they actually don't. So, having said that, we'll see you guys next time on this channel for, a little bit later today, for Leprechaun in the Hood. Which, trust us guys, is leaps and bounds better than In Space.
Yeah.
So we'll get that one out to you guys later today. We got some errands we got to run. and then we'll get to it later today for you guys.
And it's about time.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely check out his new stuff that he's going to be doing on his own and give him some support. You know, check him out, guys. So there's just one more thing for us left to say that we always do, and that is peace and love from Danny and Son. Bye.